Well, we treat children different to adults because they're children. And most cultures seem to have, although we might be losing it in our present one, some respect between children and parents because, the kids have to receive guidance and help. Yeah, otherwise, it'd be rather sad, wouldn't it? And we want to help. But of course, the kiddie may not wish to be helped at present, doesn't want to hear you. So they dig their heels in. So for their sakes, you want to exercise authority. You need them to listen to you. And really, it's not just the case between parent and child. Any parent who is given, say, the temporary authority, like in the classroom, any adult person may need to give advice and guidance. They may feel this is the best thing to do. And if they're in a position of responsibility in that way, then or they feel they have the power, they will do it. Now, of course, there's some people you don't want teaching your kids. Arch criminals and, drug dealers and so on. So, I don't mean I've got it in for drug dealers. I just mean you don't want your kids to take drugs, right? So, obviously you're going to arm your children to patiently sit it out because there's nothing else they can do. If you like, they are weak compared to the adult they're up against. But not argue back. Because, of course, whoever the adult is, in some sense, they have more power and they might misuse the power, of course, and get angry or annoyed or, pressing and so forth. So, you want your kids to be able to deal with situations with adults, and the way you want it to be typically is one of at least outward, formal, polite respect. The adult's talking, I listen. I don't come back with yes, but so-and-so, so-and-so, such and such. I mean, the only thing they can come back with is, I'm sorry, I can't do that because my mum or my dad says I must do such and such. Oh. And you find this even works at school. If the teacher says, we're going to go cross-country running on concrete paths, my son said, sorry, Dad won't let me do that. End of story, you see. Now, if the adult, nonetheless, the teacher in that case, had have insisted, and then, okay, there's not much the child can do. I mean, how much power have they got, They, of course, report the incident, or the child does, to the parent, and the parent goes up to the school like Marshall did, and says, hang on, you can't do this. He may have forgotten his proper shoes, but you can't have children running on concrete because they, the bones splinter in the feet and so on, and it's bad news. So things are sorted out between the parents ultimately, you see. So you want the child to treat whoever it is with respect, but there are even bounds then. They will say, oh, no, I can't do that because my dad says or my mum says such and such. But that's the limit of what the child can do. They can't, in a power situation, ignore the fact that the adult may have much more power over them, at least temporarily. And they may have to put up with temporarily difficult circumstances and trust that parents sort this out in the medium and long run. It's all right. I'm sitting at the school and I've just dropped the kids off, and I can see my daughter. She's been waiting for a friend of hers to arrive in the car from her parents, presumably. And they're now chit-chatting, talking. So part of my mind, although I feel I must get this recording done because it's on my mind, but part of my mind is watching these two. I think they're waiting for another friend. Yes, they are. Yeah. So, I mean, we love our kids. That's the point, isn't it? Ideally, we love our kids, for goodness sake. And in a sense, ideally, we care for all children. Well, we care for all life, don't we, ideally? But the children and adults, there's a relationship that we, in some sense, is ideal, where the child trusts the adult. And even if they don't trust the adult, we need them to be in a situation of respect. Else, whatever adult is that they're facing at the minute or coming under the power of, that adult may cause harm, you see. So, you want the child to have the best strategy in the situation of being a child, which is what we've referred to in society as respecting your elders, in that sense. What we do have to do is train the child not to bounce back at the adult with arguments to the contrary of what they're suggesting. It's not for a child to take on correcting the adult. Because if they're in the habit of doing that, they actually, like one adult to another, don't necessarily listen. And at least we want the formal situation where they apparently are listening, and that's likely to get the better response from the adult. Whether they actually do in the long run what this particular adult is suggesting will depend presumably on a stronger relationship with their parents and so on. And in some sense, guidance from parents. The parent may be quite casual about it and say, well, when you're in school, boy, you have to, do what the teacher says. Boom, boom. Yes, Dad. Right. I was worried because you said such and such. Yes, that's true. Well, I'll have a word with the school about it. But, okay. Do you see what I mean? So you want a situation where ideally the child can say something back but not argue. You want the child to be earnestly seeking what's best because you are earnestly seeking what's best. And ultimately, I suppose, it's not even respect, but ultimately that's what you want. The child is earnestly seeking what's best and does appreciate, in a respectful situation, that the adult's probably got far more experience than he has, the child, so I should listen to the adult. This may not be what other adults have told me that I'm listening to, so I'll hear him out because this is another adult, which is interesting. But I'm just listening. I'm not here to persuade this adult of what is right or true, contrary to what he is saying. If asked, why did you do so and so? Well, that's a different thing. The child can say, such and such. Oh, I see. Well, we don't do that here because of such and such. And the child just, right. In some sense is going to be obedient. If the adult's literally dangerous, then of course the child will attempt to escape the company of the adult, and so on. But hopefully you've not let your child wander into that sort of situation. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it, that the parent basically tries to have the child always in a safe situation vis-a-vis other adults. And so respect is valid in a sense. Okay, there's a referral system in the child's mind. Does mum and dad really agree with this? But again, there's a respect thing in the back of the child's mind. I'm not here to change this adult's opinion. I'm not one adult to another. I'm a child. You see, in a peculiar way, the child needs authority, needs to know what the boundaries are, what the rules are of verbal intercourse and relationship between them and other life forms, whether it's friends or other adults or animals even. They need to know, to be trained in how best to relate. Now, adults one to another don't relate terribly well. They need, as I see it, I mean, Marshall Rosenberg's training of non-violent communication. He has he's dead now, but he has an understanding of our style of talking, our way of relating is in fact adversarial. It's violent. It's accusative. It's judgmental. It's really troublesome as regards communication, genuine fellowship and help, and the ideal. And his training, NVC, Nonviolent Communication, his handbook is just brilliant in that respect. And really, every adult, I feel, needs training in this. They don't realize how the language and the norms of our behavior, of our culture, of our societies, aren't to promote cooperation, but more adversarial competition, which, as it tends to go wrong, results in the most appalling breaches of relationships and violence and war and so on. And I did feel NVC teaching was a astonishing step forward. I don't mean it's to be worshipped, it's absolutely perfect, but I do mean it's incredibly helpful. Yes, you might want to check it out. So it's Marshall Rosenberg, Nonviolent Communication. And of course, I'm delighted to come across someone who's got the same Christian name as myself. I haven't really come across it before. I'd like to have known him personally, but he was American, I guess, and I was English, and now live in New Zealand. So, but we can still benefit from. Isn't it wonderful? Our technology, our society, our culture preserves the understanding and advice of others, and gives us this incredible wealth to draw on, if only we know about it. So, Marshall Rosenberg, Nonviolent Communication, NVC for short. And it come out that on the computer, just put Marshall Rosenberg NVC and it all floods up, Again, isn't our technology an incredible help if we know how to use it? And if we use it wisely, of course. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.